The gavel fell like a gunshot, and the courtroom answered with laughter. The judge smiled as he declared I was clearly unfit to manage millions. Behind me, my parents sat polished and smug. Mom wore sympathy like lipstick. Dad's grin said this was finally going their way. I held my hands together so no one could see them shake. I didn't become the punchline in a single morning. I was shaped for it. I was 7 when my mother packed my little suitcase in my bedroom. She folded my shirts without meeting my eyes. "Grandpa Arthur wants you to stay with him for a while," she said. "Just until we sort things out." A while stretched into 21 years. My parents, Derek and Marla Keene, weren't cruel. They were convenient. I wasn't abused so much as forgotten, an afterthought in a house full of adult plans. Arthur noticed. He asked the questions they never asked. Did my shoes fit? Was I eating enough? Did I want my own room? When he offered me a key on a ribbon, I wore it like proof I belonged somewhere. At his house, attention was ordinary. He taught me chess and how to hold eye contact when someone lied. He showed up for parent nights and took notes. When I said I wanted to study law, he nodded, satisfied. "Good," he said. "Learn the rules, then learn how people break them." My parents visited for holidays and photographs, collecting praise for parenting they didn't do. They lived on Arthur's money and called it family support. Arthur watched, quiet as a man reading weather. And as I grew into a woman, he began preparing for the day he wouldn't be there to stand between us. My grandfather died on a Tuesday in March. Quietly, the way he lived. No warnings, no bedside speeches, just an empty bed and a silence that clung. I drove from Boston to Connecticut, grief burning behind my eyes. Derek and Marla were already there. Not crying, counting. Dad opened drawers. Mom skimmed ledgers. They called it organizing, like loss was a filing problem. The will reading came the next week in an office that smelled of dust. The attorney wouldn't meet my gaze. "Primary beneficiary," he said, "Tessa Keene, 95% to me, 5% split between my parents and Arthur's charities." Mom's face went stiff. Dad's smile cracked, then reset into something colder. That night, they invited me to dinner and dressed their plan in silk. "A trust," Dad said. "We'll manage it until you're steadier." When I said no, the warmth drained from them. 3 weeks later, their lawsuit arrived. Undue influence, incapacity, legal ways of saying I was either a manipulator or an idiot. Probate froze everything. Arthur's accounts, my accounts, even my small savings because he'd helped with tuition. Overnight, I was solvent on paper and broke in practice. So I took shifts at my friend June's cafe. Coffee, sandwiches, wiped down tables, tips folded into my wallet, survival. It was honest and it was temporary. Then, a funeral acquaintance recognized me and photographed me in my apron like I was evidence. My parents slid the prints across their dining table with triumph. "This," Mom said, "is why you need us." My lawyer, Renee, didn't blink. She handed me a recorder. "One-party consent," she said. "Keep it running." Thursday morning, I pocketed it and walked into the courthouse as the bailiff called our case. The air smelled of varnished oak and other people's certainty. My parents' attorney, Mr. Klein, laid the cafe photos on the evidence table like scandal. "Miss Keene's lifestyle demonstrates poor judgment," he said. "A person set to inherit millions wouldn't be wiping tables for tips." The judge, Judge Harlan, chuckled. Not loudly, enough. My parents laughed with him, a soft chorus, as if my apron were a punchline. When it was my turn, Renee rose, calm as a metronome. "Miss Keene has a statement." I stood and felt the recorder's weight against my ribs, warm with captured truth. "I worked because probate froze my accounts," I said. "Because I won't borrow from the people suing me. Because dignity isn't a line item." Klein scoffed. "This is emotional theater." "No," I said, and pulled out my phone. "Connecticut is one-party consent." I tapped the screen. The courtroom heard Judge Harlan's earlier joke about waitresses and windfalls, and then my parents' laughter, bright in stereo. The judge's face tightened. Renee didn't pounce. She simply asked for recusal. The clerk began writing fast enough to shake. Recess. A new judge the following week. No jokes, no smirks. Judge Elena Ruiz read the will, read the filings, and looked at my parents like adults caught with their hands in a purse. Challenge denied, she said. Fees and costs to the plaintiffs. Outside, Derek reached for my arm. I stepped back. Arthur saved me once, I told them. I'm done saving you. That night, I opened the envelope he'd left me. Use wealth like a tool. So I did, paying June back, funding a clinic for clients without lawyers, and buying myself, finally, a life that fit.